And a clip from 𝗣𝗑𝗘𝗧𝗦, ATL. Legendary hip-hop producer Mannie Fresh talks about the importance of roles in recording sessions and how important it is for the producer and artist to listen to each other in that process. So let's play this video and...
There's a disconnect with what, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying all young artists, but a lot of young artists can't take direction. And the way we work is I'm not going to send you a beat. You know what I'm saying? If I can't sit there and do it with you, if I'm not in there with you, it don't make no sense to me.
Yeah, I ain't in there, you out of there.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like, what you hire somebody for to tell them what to do? You know what I'm saying? I already know these dudes can rap. I'm not going to tell them what to do. You know what I'm saying? If you stumble on a word, then I can say, hey, you stumbled on that word, but I can't tell you the art of how to rap. Right now, it's like you'll hire somebody, but you'll tell them, but you know, I want it like this, and can you do da-da-da-da? And I'm like, why don't you just let me do what I do, and you concentrate on what you do, and the magic gonna happen.
Come on now.
Come on now.
Come on now. That's Juvie in the background, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that was `𝗑𝗘𝗧𝗦 saying that.
I'm talking about Juvie to the right of Mannie. Yeah,
I was talking about the come on now. That is very much a
shout out to 𝗑𝗘𝗧𝗦, man. He does a great job.
He really does, man. He's one of those people I actually check for his content.
Yeah, he's got good content. Lone, what do you think about what Mannie is saying? Because there's a couple ways we can look at this. Some would say Mannie's a legend. He's one of the GOATs. But this thought process is outdated because we are in the digital era of send, zip, send the session, send the file, get it done, send it back. And he's still coming from the standpoint of the organics. You've done both. As a producer, you've done both.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts?
Have you, Major?
Yes, I have. I've done both. But I'm curious to see what Lone thinks about this, because I think I know where he's going, but I just want to see what are your initial thoughts about what Mannie says and how that relates to, you know, the era that we're in now.
I don't know. I think there's something to be said about being in the room with somebody. You know, that's probably where most of my best work is coming from, just because you're able to bounce ideas off of people, and it leaves it's less for questions sometimes. I don't know. But I think depending on the artist, you can still not be in the room, you know, but I do think that being together is important. I don't know if I have a lot to say about this, to be honest. Like his where he talked about like, yeah, I can help you. It was a little confusing because it sounded like he was saying at first, like, I don't want to be, like, I want to be in the room when we're working together. That's what he was saying, right?
Right.
But at the same time, he's like, well, if we're in the same room together, like, I can help you fix a word, but I can't help you understand how to rap. I don't really understand where he's coming because I feel like if you're in the room with him, you can help him help the rappers in that manner.
Here's what I think he was saying when he said that. I think he was coming from a standpoint of, I can correct you if you know, like he said, just mess up a word here or there. But he's more alluding to the fact of, I'm not here to teach you how to rap because I respect that you know how to rap. So that's why he used the example of the artist saying, well, I want you to do this. You start moving his hands, kind of telling the producer how to arrange the beat and how to do that. I think that's where he's coming from. It's like, no, I understand what you're here for. I respect that. Do the same for me so that we can make this magic together. And I think that's the part where that's the question that we ask is like, can people really be on the same page? Because there are artists that you can't tell them anything. I don't care what you say.
Right. That's what Mannie Fresh sounds like to me, is somebody that you can't tell him how to make a beat. He doesn't want to hear you add an extra cowbell right there. He's like, I'm doing me, I want you to do you. But like I can kind of respect what he's saying as far as wanting everybody involved in the project to be in the same room.
Right.
Because there's a lot of great albums that wouldn't exist if that hadn't happened. But on the flip side, there's a lot of great albums that have happened without everybody being in the same room cohesively as well. I think it just kind of depends on the person, depends on the artist, depends on the producer when we're talking about Mannie Fresh. But I do think it should be a collaborative effort. Like, if we're doing a project together, I think my input on what you're doing musically should be the same thing as your input that you're telling me from a DJ point of view, where if I'm rapping, that you can tell me to do certain things here. I mean, that's how magic happens as well.
Right.
You're with your peers, you're creating something magic. Just because I wrote it don't mean that it's great. And now that he said that, some of them verses from some of them Cash Money records, is obvious you probably should have told somebody to write some other shit.
Yeah, I think now that you talk about that, like I guess, yeah, I think there's an interesting There's like a line around, like, I don't know, it's like an invisible line. Like, how much do you respect the person that you're working with?
There you go.
And it's just like you trust their vision of it. And how much do you, like, as a rapper, right? I'll speak from them, a rapper, me a producer. It's like, how much do you respect my vision and the thing that I have when I'm producing whatever the thing that I'm doing? Like, am I producing this record or are you producing this record? Who is the executive producer? And I think there's a balance of it's like a relationship essentially. It's like there has to be a certain type of respect there to where they respect what I'm doing and that I respect their input depending on what it is.
Right.
And if that doesn't exist, then I don't even really want to be a part of it, to be honest. I'll just go do something else. Like, I can just send you a beat and you can just go work with the engineer or something, you know, like, but like, I think the best work comes from people that have that relationship to where it'd be like, hey, you know, I think it may be cool if you could switch this up here or maybe
or
change.
If it sounds better if you said this verse like this versus you saying it like that.
Yeah.
And to me, the artists that seem to, you know, excel are the ones that usually put out that top tier, that good product. And this is not across the board, but usually those are the ones that from my experience that I've seen that have a little bit of enough humbleness in them to at least listen. Because when I was younger and making music and stuff, you get excited about the beat. Just take it. All right, cool. Hey, I'm on there, so it's cool. Now, if somebody tells me, well, I don't need all the drops in it and stuff like that, I'm like, well, what you come to me for? Well, why did you ask me to come here? Like, that's the part, like the drops and the arrangement and how this comes in and how this comes out. That's what you came to me for, in my mind. That's what you came. I could see where his frustration would come from in that. But Mannie, eons beyond me, so he's probably to the point where it's like, nah, I'm Mannie Fresh. Go look at the plaques. It'll be ready when you get back.
Yeah. If you're gonna work with me, then we're gonna be in the same room. And you gotta respect.
And he can say that. He's in a position to say that.
And I think I think that's a great approach to have in general. I think if you can do it that way, everybody should do it that way. You know, there's also time and money constraints and space. You know, like not everybody lives in the same place. But I also say too, this is also why like because I can approach this very much as like when I used to like send verses to people, and I lose control of like how I would put my verses on a particular record or something like that. I don't like that.
There you go.
But I'm also a producer. So it's like I have that extra, you know, like I put my stuff together the way that I want so that my best foot is always forward. You know what I mean? So putting that trust in somebody else, I can also acknowledge that like, you know, like sometimes it's like, nah, like I want it to be this way. I want it to be perceived in this particular fan. So there's a little bit of that just, I don't know if it's ego necessarily or if it's just insecurity maybe.
I think ego's in there a little bit as you become more established and you've put your 10,000 hours in. There's certain stuff that you just don't want to deal with.
But I think for me specifically, me wanting to like, I'd be like, yo, like, don't make me sound stupid or but also like I don't know, like I don't really think when I talk about it, it's not really ego. It's more so like I just want to make sure that I sound the way that I envision it.
But finished product.
So I think for artists, MCs, vocalists and stuff that are working with producers that are a little bit more vocal than others, because some people just don't care. They're just like, that sounds cool. Which is weird to me because I am the opposite. Like I am that person that's super anal retentive about that stuff. So it's like, I don't know, like I'm the type of person that I would record my own verse for a feature and send it to them and be like, this is the reference track.
Yeah.
This is kind of what I want it to sound like. And then I will send it to them so that they can put it together. And then I listen and be like, all right, that's cool. Or it's not. You know
or
what
it's
I mean?
not, yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, I get both sides of that. But generally speaking, as the producer on projects, which I've done more of, I do like to have that control to be able to, I think it's just a creative thing. When you got two people that really want to have control of something, that's a good sign for your project. You just have to find that balance.
Be able to have that uncomfortable at times conversation with to your point about the end goal, which is the final product.
Yeah.
Jay, you got any thoughts about what Mannie said?
I mean, I'm just thinking about how, you know, some of the most successful producers in the history of music have always been kind of taskmasters, you know, and it just wasn't like you're going to send me, I'm going to send you a beat, you'll send it me back, and I can't give you any direction on how this is going to sound with my music that I either compose, produce, whatever. You know, you got to think about, you know, when you rest in peace, you just recently Quincy Jones.
Yeah.
Quincy Jones just anything that he's ever put out, it was not the first draft or what somebody just sent him. And he's just had to, you know, work around it. Norman Whitfield. Some of you know who that is, from Motown fame, and went on to do his own thing. Even we talk about somebody like Dr. Dre. I remember I saw a story with Too Short where he made him say basically bitch 50 times. Yeah. Until he got it right. Song never came out. Yeah. Maybe we'll hear it one of these days. But I mean, there has to be also a level of respect between the performer and the producer. And now we're in a place where like people just think, okay, this is just a beat maker. He can't really tell me nothing as far as what I'm supposed to do with my vocal performance. And that's a relatively new thing. I'm not so much, for people criticizing lyrics, but if it's how you're going to say them and how it's going to sound over my music, then those are the things that I understand a producer saying, hey, no, we need to do that again. But, like I said, we're talking to Mannie Fresh. This is a guy who's been, probably produced records on reel to reel, in the latter days of that. The Pro Tools sessions, just sending them back and forth. We got to realize we haven't always had this level of high speed internet. At one point, they might have been sending it through ISDN lines. Some of y'all don't even know what that is. So, he has a different perspective. If you're somebody who's just been producing in the last 5 to maybe 10 years, you've always had high speed internet to where you can send a whole Pro Tools session inside of an email. But then, at one point you couldn't send anything larger than a photograph in an email, much less a Pro Tools session. And
I've had some dope stuff sent to me via email, and I've pieced it together or chopped it up, edited it, sent it back, and we sent it back, and we got it right, and it came out beautiful. So that happens, right? Yeah. But if you ask me my personal preference, especially if it's an artist that I feel like I have a connection with or somebody that has crazy potential, I'd love to be there. I'm not saying for the whole ride, but just be there some so I can get a feel for who you are, because to me, that grows the project. As we get a chance to be around each other and you hear ideas and have the uncomfortable conversations, to me, you're sowing into the project when you do that.
It just makes it a better project altogether to me. That's why a lot of artists, they be like, for example, Tyler. Yeah. I want to say maybe he recorded like an album in like Hawaii or something crazy like that. And then, not Kendrick, but Kanye always has his recording compounds where everybody that's involved with the project comes together and we record it together. I mean, I just think it makes for a better, unique situation. And also when it comes to even the raps, I literally just seen an interview of the DLC talking about how Snoop would just rap a whole bunch of stuff, and DLC would come in and be like, well, why don't we take what you said here, eliminate all that, and put these together, and we just go through and do a whole bunch of those, and we come out with a whole nice song, versus I'ma just play you this beat and you just rap your ass off, and then that's the song. Somebody helped him make and create that moment in time because they were present, right? Versus you just sent me a beat and now the beat is mine, and I'm going to give you your ownership and this, that, and the other, and this is what it's going to sound like when it goes out. And I don't see anything wrong with that either, but I understand what Manny's talking about as far as being in the same room with people and recording the project.
Tell you what, though, Terry, that's a naked feeling when you send it out and you get it back, and it's like, nah, that's not necessarily what I was thinking, but you've already done your due diligence on your side. I sent it to you, so it's passed now. It's already been mastered, so I got to just live with it, and this is what it is. But that's a bad spot when it doesn't come out like when it doesn't come out exactly how you thought it would, we'll say.
Yeah, and I think also, like, when you're in the same place as somebody too, like, those conversations can happen in real time, so you're saving time as well.
There you go.
There's less chance for something to get misinterpreted, or you're not going to waste your time as much. It's just like, all right, cool, this is what it is. You can knock something out like in 30 minutes that would take a week and a half through emails. Yeah. So, yep.
No, shout out to Manny though. Listen, Mannie Fresh is one of the GOATs. So, brother, if that's what you do, in order for you to get down with Manny, that's the rules, that's the play.
Right, well, we ain't heard no new Manny in a while.
Manny probably working though. It's just,
I'm sure he's a musician, so he's always working.
He probably working. Manny might be out getting license placements that we don't even know about. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But salute to him though, man. I'd love to be in the studio with Manny. I wouldn't say a word. I'd be over in the corner. What you need me to do, sir? 100%.
Get that coffee.
Yep.
Smooth Leader says, is it hard to tell someone their verse isn't going to work?
Ooh.
Obviously, Mannie wasn't telling nobody that. That's what I picked up on this. He's like, you the rapper, I make the beats. I already know they're gonna write a rap. I'm like, he probably should have gave some constructive criticism here and there on some of.
What'd you say, Terry? Would you say, Terry? He knew better.
Yeah, but Mannie wasn't much. I mean, Mannie wasn't the person to be critiquing people's lyrics.
That's very true.
Well,
I mean, plus,
not from a rapper perspective.
And plus, Mannie was pumping out 150, 200 beats. He ain't no time to be going through all. He was working on getting ready for the next artist.
He said, "Can't stand it, Dick Bandit." I'm just saying.
He did say that, didn't he?
Can't stand it, Dick Bandit.
Like, there are certain things that you hear now, even though you've loved the song for years, it might stand up to you. Be like, man, what were they thinking about? Just like when I listened,
probably weren't.
I mean,
they probably weren't.
Look, I listened to The Chronic probably about 2 weeks ago.
Be careful, man.
No, I mean, and I don't, because, you know, Dre, he had other people write his lyrics.
Yeah.
So I want to know, was it Snoop, was it DOC? Which one of y'all wrote, like Luther Vandross, I'm f***ing up the West Coast? What was that even about?
Oh.
What? I don't even know.
I'm trying to even think and understand.
Dang, why would you?
Yeah,
that's actually a good one.
Or like
that's foreshadowing to 2024 when Kendrick dropped Luther Vandross sample song
There
called
it
Luther.
is.
That's how you
And
break
it
things
messed it
around.
all the way down.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to go
Or
with.
was alluding to Luther Vandross's character in Meteor Man, where he was a gangster.
Like when he had the gun on people.
I like that one, Terry. I like that one.
I'm just coming up with off the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like
I like Loans, though.
or like
Foreshadowing.
when we let Slim Thug get off with he said GameCube, Nintendo.
He did say
He
that.
said he really dropped that. Like, I'm like, were we effing with the GameCube like that? Do we put it in rap lyrics?